Okay, we're live.
Thanks, Tessa. So do we want to? Okay. I guess I'll call the meeting to order. Essa, can you take a roll call of who's in attendance?
The directors I saw were Director Mende, Gary Mackler, Rona Fukumoto, Melvin Kahele, Sean Sasaki, Carol Riemann, and Kimberly Sparlin.
Thank you, Essa. We have a quorum. I guess before we start, I just want to welcome Sean Sasaki, our newest board member, to the group. He comes from a pretty extensive civil engineering background as well as project management, so I think he'll be a value added to the team. Formerly, I knew him actually back in the day from Hilo, but he currently lives here in Oahu. Sean, you want to say something before we start?
Just want to thank you for this opportunity. Thank you, everybody. Just hope I can do some good with you. Looking forward to getting to work and getting up to speed.
Cool, thanks. I guess second item on the agenda, item number 2, approval of minutes for the regular meeting dated April 8th, 2021. Can I get a motion to?
On a motion, Don.
Thanks, Mel. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thanks, Carol. Any discussion? Is there any additions or deletions? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. So did George get on?
I haven't seen him yet, but Mike McCartney is on.
Okay. I know because item 3A is actually a resolution expression appreciation to George, so it would be nice if he's here. Shall we just skip that for now?
Yeah, can we come back? I just tried calling him. I think he's trying to link in. If we could come back to that, that'll be great.
Yeah, we can definitely come back to it. So item 3B, to approve the consolidated plan annual action plan for program year 2021 and 2022. Can I get a motion?
Move to approve. Second.
Thanks, Gary. Thanks, Mel.
Morning, Mr. Chair and members of the board. This for action seeks your approval of the 2021 annual action plan covering the period from July 1, 2021 through June 30th, 2022. The plan covers HUD's home program, the Housing Trust Fund program, the Emergency Solutions Grant program, and the Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS program. The intent of these federal programs is to strengthen communities and provide decent, affordable housing for families in special needs populations. HHFDC rotates its home funds between the 3 neighbor island counties. For program year 2021, HHFDC will receive $3 million in home funds and will award the funds to the County of Hawaii. County of Hawaii will use these funds for the University Heights Home Reconstruction Rental Housing Project and for tenant-based rental assistance. The home program requires that 15% of the allocation be set aside for a community housing development organization or CHODO. The County of Hawaii will use the CHODO funds for the Affordable Homes for Puna Families Home Ownership Project. Expected home activities are shown in the table starting at the bottom of page 2. The Homeless Programs Office of the State of Hawaii's Department of Human Services administers the ESG and HAPA programs. DHS will receive $444,100 for ESG and $474,000 for HAPA. ESG and HAPA activities are shown on the tables on pages 3 and 4. Under the National Housing Trust Fund program, HHFDC will receive an allocation of $3.4 million, which will be used for rental housing for extremely low-income families at the 30% AMI level. Hawaii County will use this allocation for its West Kauai senior and veteran housing in Hilo. The table at the middle of page 4 shows the 2021 Housing Trust Fund activities. The draft action plan was subject to a 30-day public comment period, and we received no comments. The action plan is also an application to HUD for the home HTF, ESG, and HAPWA funds due annually to HUD by May 15. If approved, we anticipate submitting the action plan to HUD tomorrow. I'm available for questions.
Thank you. Any questions? No? I just had one quick one regarding the West Kauai Senior. Is that senior and veterans, or is that senior veterans?
Senior and veterans.
Oh, okay. Alrighty. If there's no other questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to item 3C. This is to approve a request to increase the budget for the Waihole Valley Agricultural Park and residential lot.
This is Mike McCartney. I move to approve the request.
Okay, just let me finish. Oahu, Hawaii, TMK 148 and various. Thanks, Mike. Can I get a second, please?
Second.
Thanks, Mel.
Good morning, Chair and members of the board. My name is Carrie Ann Ibarra. I am the Development Support Section Chief. HHFDC owns the Waihole Valley Agricultural Park and Residential Lot Subdivision. There are 143 lots. 108 lots are leasable lots. 14 lots are open space lots, road lots and stream lots, and 20 lots were conveyed to the Department of Hawaiian Homelands, and 1 lot was conveyed via court order. In addition to the 143 lots, there are fee simple lots that are not deeded to HHFDC nor included in the declaration for the subdivision, but are located within the subdivision. HHFDC owns and maintains the Waihole water system, which supplies potable water to 114 HHFDC, DHHL, and fee simple lots that have requested for service. The Waihole Valley roadway infrastructure was developed gradually between 1987 and 1992 as part of a major upgrade to include roads, drainage, and electrical improvements. The water system was placed in operation in January of 1989. The existing water system is 32 years old and is in need of major repair, in which some of the repairs are included, shown in this discussion 3A section, for like pumps, the water well, groundwater well, replacement of existing electrical system that operates the pumps, as well as construction of waterproof control room that houses the electrical system. In addition, there are times of power outages. So a new generator was requested to be installed, as well as installing an automatic alert system at the location of the well, and it allows for remote monitoring, improving of the chlorine injection system, and relocating some of the distribution lines to avoid unstable soil conditions. The Waihole Valley budget of $100,000 was previously established in 1989, and successive increases were made to the budget since. The last budget increase request of $3 million was approved by the HHFDC Board of Directors in March of 2020, bringing the total approved budget to $12,133,178.04. Of the $3 million of the 2020 budget increase, 2.2 was set aside for the design and construction of the identified repairs and replacements of the water system, and 800,000 was for 4 years of ongoing operations and maintenance. For the water system improvements, HHFDC is currently in contract with Bills Engineering for the design of a new water system. Funds are from Capital Improvement Program, CIP funds. The design was put on hold in order for staff to evaluate alternatives for the new system with the community as part of the strategic planning process. The CIP funds will lapse on June 30, 2021. And staff is requesting a budget increase of 1.5 million for design and environmental planning of a new water system. For the water system repairs, in August of 2020, HHFDC contracted with Okahara and Associates to prepare plans and specifications for selected repairs as outlined in section 3A above and the temporary generator. Okahara submitted pre-final plans to HHFDC on March 2nd, 2021, with the intent to post the solicitations in April of 2021. A professional cost estimate for the planned construction was 2.2 million, which is 400,000 greater than what was set forth in the March 2024 action. On March 9, 2021, Oahu sustained torrential rains and Governor Ige issued an emergency proclamation related to heavy rains and flooding. The proclamation is attached as Exhibit B. The water system suffered severe damage due to flooding and debris. A portion of the Waihole Stream diverted from its regular course and flowed directly through the well pump site and access road. Between March 10th and March 14th, Dunewood Engineering, which is our current water operator, provided emergency response to clear debris, limited debris, and bring the water system back online. Their cost was approximately $86,000. Additionally, HHFDC requested an emergency tap from the Board of Water Supply to its closest fire hydrant to provide potable water for the valley. HHFDC will be billed for any water usage. HHFDC also procured security guard services to ensure safety of the BWS tap and for those who access the water. A purchase order for this security guard services in the amount of $59,814.72 was procured, of which we have spent $6,141.36. But that PO is still open should we need to use that services. Based upon the assessment by Okahara's consulting firm, the following water system infrastructure was damaged by the flood: roads and shoulders from bridge to the well site itself, boulder embankment above the well site, underground electrical lines and chlorine lines, chain link fence around the well site, a culvert below the bridge. They also would like to raise the rock wall in the rear and side of the well site to prevent any future water from penetrating into the well site, and to remove specific trees that are hazardous for the infrastructure. This is the cost of for the emergency response from Dunewood, design construction, as well as security guard and Board of Water Supply is 1.45 million. So in summary, the request to increase the budget for the water system repairs alone is 400,000 for planned repairs, 1.45 for the flood repairs, and approximately 20% contingency, 370,000, which is a total of 2.22 million. This budget increase is being requested to repair the current system and continue providing safe drinking water and fire flow for the valley. HHFDC will be requesting additional funds at a later date for construction of a new reservoir tank and a new water system. Operation and maintenance of the infrastructure. The heavy rains also highlighted a need for invasive albizia tree removal alongside infrastructure, streams, and neighboring property. HHFDC coordinated a community meeting and brought in Ko'olau Mountain Watershed Partnership as a guest speaker to discuss community-wide albizia eradication. As the community steps forward to gain control of this battle, Staff recommends prioritizing and clearing albizia on HHFDC land with the following criteria. Albizia within 150 feet from any road, utility, or stream to prevent utility or stream flow interruptions, and clearing albizia from all vacant parcels in order to prepare for leasing. Staff estimates that approximately 90 acres fall within these criteria, shown in a map on Exhibit C. Staff estimates approximately $3.375 million will be required for initial albizia clearing and a yearly cost of $50,000 for sapling removal to prevent further growth. Staff suggests a phased approach where the highest priority areas and vacant lots are addressed in the first 5 years. The first phase of work would address a third of the total acreage, approximately 30 acres at a cost of $1.125 million for initial removal and $85,000 for 5-year maintenance. We broke that down approximately $17,000 per year for annual service. Staff requests a budget increase for operation and maintenance infrastructure budget line item for the phase 1 albizia work of $1.21 million. For the operations and maintenance of the water system, expenditures for operating and maintaining the water system have averaged about $200,000 annually, and the income is only about $19,000. The table below was provided in the March 2024 action and provides the 5-year summary of income and expenditure from the water system for fiscal years 2015 to 2019. In 2020, there was an inordinate amount of HECO outages and system failures above and beyond the average per year, and in addition to the storm damage, which attributed to additional expenses incurred by HHFDC's contractor for operations and maintenance. In fiscal year 2020, HHFDC spent $232,967.42 on operation and maintenance of the water system, which is approximately $60,000 more than the average yearly expenditures. Staff is requesting a budget increase for operations and maintenance of the water system budget line item of $300,000 for 5 years. For planning and legal, it is anticipated that additional funding will be required for implementation and recommendations from the strategic plan, resource management plans, and legal services for lease rent negotiations. Staff requests increasing planning and legal budget line item by $300,000. The Waihole Valley budget increase request is for additional planning and legal expenses, additional repairs related to storm damage, and additional operation and maintenance as follows. The water system improvements at $1.5 million, water system repairs at $2.22 million, additional operations and maintenance of the infrastructure at $1.21 million, additional operation and maintenance of the water system at $300,000, and planning and legal at $300,000 for a total of $5.53 million. The recommendation is that the HHFDC Board of Directors approve the increase to the Waihole Valley budget by $5.53 million as presented in this for action, and authorize the Executive Director to take all actions necessary to effectuate the purpose of this for action, subject to availability of the DERF funds, approval and release of the funds by the Governor, and compliance with all HHFDC rules, regulations, and other terms and conditions as it may be required by the Executive Director. Staff is available to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any questions?
Chair, I have a question. First, thank you, Carrie Ann, for a really good report. And I just first want to say I support the proposed recommendation to increase the budget and the proposed uses that are presented. But I wanted to ask you, Carrie Ann, in light of the proclamation by the governor declaring a disaster, is there any possibility of seeking any federal resources to help pay for some of these costs or to supplement some of these additional costs?
So we have been in touch with HAIMA and have given them all of the information that they requested.
Okay.
If Dean is in the room, maybe he has more. He was the point contact person with HAIMA.
Yes, Director Becker, we have been in touch with HAIMA about possible reimbursement for our costs for the storm damage. We have been advised, though, that we need to look at the long-term cost of accepting reimbursement, because there might be certain conditions attached, such as requirements relating to having flood insurance. So in the long term, we've been advised that in some cases, the long-term costs exceed the reimbursement that we receive. So we are still assessing that.
Okay, well, thank you for that, Dean. I also wanted just to recognize Dean's efforts and your efforts, Carrie Ann, especially in the aftermath of that flood emergency and all the additional work you folks put in. It was quite an effort, I know, and I think you should be recognized for all that fine work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, I would also like to express the corporation's deep appreciation for Director McCartney. He did take time out of his busy schedule to accompany staff out to Waihole Valley. As a result of some of the debris that had flown down, there were some incidents that his longstanding relationships had helped build some collaboration out there with the landowner and tenants out there. So thank you very much, Director McCartney.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, everybody, that was a terrible ordeal that we had to go through. Is there any other questions?
This is Mike.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah, I really wanted to thank Dean and Carrie Ann. And, just for the record, I also contacted Congressman Kai Kahele to just give him a heads up and to say we might need some assistance beyond FEMA. There might be some other watershed funds or protection funds. And so I wanted to alert the staff that he's standing by and his office is ready to help.
All right, thank you, Mike. Any other questions? If not, I just want to say real quickly that I totally agree with Gary, and I support the improvements and the changes in the budget. So I guess if there's no other questions, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you. I noticed George got online. Hey, George. So if we could go back to item 3A, to approve a resolution number 153 expressing appreciation to George Atta. Can I get a motion to approve, please?
So move.
Thank
Second.
you. Thank you.
This is,
Okay. It's been seconded. So any discussion?
George, this is Mike McCartney.
Hi, Mike.
I just wanted to thank you for all your service and your guidance, your expertise on this board. You gave us some really good insights, and I also feel you gave us a lot of confidence when we had to make some challenging decisions. You kept us calm and focused, and I think that comes from years of your public service, and I'm just honored that I was able to serve on a board with you, because I've seen your work many years in the city, and it was great that I got to serve on the same board with you. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I think Director Sparlin has a message from the governor. I think that she wants to relay.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Chair. Yes, Director Atta, it has been a pleasure. And on behalf of the governor, who on behalf of the people of the state of Hawaii, extend a fond aloha to you for your exceptional service as a member not only of the Hawaii Housing Finance and Development Corporation Board of Directors, but what you do at the city and what you do for all people in the city and county of Honolulu and across the state. You know, it's obvious that your ingenuity and your resourcefulness that you have shared on this board has made it stronger, and your commitment and you committed yourself wholeheartedly to HHFDC's mission, which is a big one. It is a challenge, it's diverse, it's complicated, and you being able to bring your experience and your compassion to this board has again made it so much stronger. Your efforts have assisted the EGA administration's pledge to increase housing opportunities and create a Hawaii where the future generations can live, work, and raise families sustainably. That's really important to Governor, and he appreciates your support of those principles and those commitments to the people of Hawaii and what they deserve. Your considerable experience and acumen in public and private planning ensured that all avenues were productively explored in pursuing HHFDC's goals of delivering low and moderate income housing units while leveraging the state's valuable and limited resources. Not a small task at all. I think everybody knows that it's exacerbated at this level. We all experience it in our day-to-day lives, but your ability to maneuver that professionally and courteously did not go unnoticed for sure. Your leadership helped marshal and the considerable talent of the board of directors in pursuit of a common goal that will have lasting impact that goes beyond your tenure here. It is part of your legacy. And again, we thank you for your generous service, your dedication to the people of Hawaii, and Governor wishes you and I myself, you know, having the honor of serving with you, I wish you every success in your future endeavors. So thank you.
Thank you, Director Sparlin.
Chair, I would like to express the corporation's deepest gratitude to Director Atta for his service on the board as well. I remember meeting George Atta many years ago when he was the principal at Group 70. And he taught us all about regional planning when I was at DHHL and how important it was to take a community approach when you're developing. And that kind of carried out through his tenure here on the board. I want to thank him for staying on almost an extra year beyond his term. We really appreciate it, George, and we're really going to miss you. We wish you all the best and hope you can finally enjoy your retirement. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Denise. Any other? I just want to say, George, thank you too. It's been a pleasure working with you. I know you'll still be around. I know you know you're the type that you can't keep yourself. You got to keep yourself busy, yeah. But you know, I just want to say thank you for your service. You really impacted what we were able to do in the board. So thank you. I guess if there's the other, can I all in favor? Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to item 3D. This is to approve resolution number 154, which amends resolution number 125 by increasing the intended issuing amount of the revenue bonds, and 2, a request from the developer to increase the low-income housing tax credit reservation for the Kokoa project located in Honolulu, Oahu, TMK 121010052 and 053 portion out. Can I get a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
Thanks, Gary. Thanks, Carol.
Morning, Chair, members of the board. The subject for action requests an increase to the intended issuance amount of the bonds and the low-income housing tax credit reservation for the Kokua project. The project will be a newly constructed 224-unit rental facility for elderly households at or below 30% and 60% AMGI on Oahu. Improvements consist of one 20-story high-rise building consisting of 14 floors of apartments over 6 floors of parking. On January 10, 2019, the HHFDC Board of Directors approved an intended tax issuance amount up to approximately 45.9 million from the Hula May Multifamily Bond Program and up to approximately 2.42 million in annual federal 4% low-income housing tax credits for 10 years and up to 2.4 million annual state LIHTC for 5 years, and a rental housing revolving fund loan up to approximately 35.8 million. On February 9th, and then it was amended and finalized on March 31st, 2021, the awardees submitted a request to increase the amount of the intended bond issuance to approximately 53.3 million and an annual federal and state low-income housing tax credit to 3.1 million due to increases to the project budget. To maximize the 4% low-income housing tax credits eligible basis, tax-exempt proceeds must cover at least 50% of land and depreciable assets. Exhibit C in the 4 action highlights the changes in the budget and financing sources. The 6.8, approximately 8.08 project budget increase was attributable to higher construction costs, project reserves, contingency, financing, interim costs, and acquisition costs. The increases were as follows. 2.9 increase in construction costs prompted by an additional work stemming from changes to the building plans due to the Tool 1H exemption approval and also cost inflation. Approximately 1.7 million increase in project reserves, 911,000 increase in contingency to support higher construction costs, approximately 442,000 increase prompted by higher legal fees and title fees, approximately 547,000 increase in interim costs prompted by higher architecture and engineering costs associated with the building plan. 270,000 increase in acquisition costs due to additional fees to the seller. Higher project costs were absorbed by the increase in LIHTC equity, the deferred developer fee, and the sponsor equity by the developer. Approximately 7.9 increase in the low-income housing tax credits equity based on the increase to the 4% low-income housing tax credit reservation, 948,000 increase in deferred developer fees, 600,000 in sponsor equity from the developer. The sponsor equity was required by HHFDC to pay for the cost of the 15 parking stalls that will be owned by Hawaiian Telecom. When the site was purchased, the awardee was required to provide 15 parking stalls to be owned by Hawaiian Telecom. A CPR will be established to legally separate the 15 parking stalls and associated operating costs and responsibilities. Solar tax credit equity will no longer be a source of funding. During the permitting process, it was deemed infeasible to service the project's water heating needs with a rooftop photovoltaic system. The project will use central gas boilers. Heating costs will be paid by the awardee and not billed or reimbursed by the tenants. Staff recommends approval of the project's request for additional resources to help cover the cost increases as detailed in section 3F of the 4 action. Staff is available for questions as well as the development team, Mr. Tom Erickson, Mr. Monty Heaton, and Mr. Scott Settle.
All right, thank you. Is there any questions from the board?
Chair, I just wanted to ask if someone from the development team can update us on the timeline for this project. Do they have their building permits and construction contracts executed to go forward once the permits are issued?
Can you all hear me?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
great.
This is Tom.
Yes, we're not quite through the permitting process yet. We still have a couple months to go. We've been delayed a little bit on the civil side, but have all the other signatures we need in order to get the permits here in the next couple of months. So on that front, we're looking good. We're like I say, just a couple of months behind. On the contracts, while we have the draft contracts and everything ready to go, it really depends on this approval where we can get all the numbers finalized and get the contracts done. But yes, we're very close to getting that completed as well.
Okay, thanks.
Chair, this is Director Sprout. I have a question for staff. I just want to I guess, are you guys comfortable that these increase in costs are reasonable and fair? And is it due to, in your assessment, of course, is it due to just market conditions, or is this due to, I don't want to say, lowballing the original plan, but, is it just miscalculations to begin with?
From our perspective, we felt that the cost increases were acceptable. We have seen a lot of projects like this one, once they go through a 201H process, like they have mentioned, some things change. And then of course it's the timing. So it's really a combination of both. They did get their original approval back in 2019, but then had to go to a 201H approval. Things start to change, their plans start to change. And then we got hit with COVID. So that also is a big impact on their costs. It's really a combination. Unfortunately, we are hearing a lot of the projects go through these cost increases, and a lot of them are trying really hard to figure out how they can reassess their funding, get more funds from here. But yeah, we're seeing it all over the place.
Thank you. I appreciate the complexity of that and the nature of the world right now. Does this speak to then the subcommittee's conversations around the timing of these requests?
Yeah, I think like how we're back in the subcommittee where we're talking about coming in now with a 201H, we're hoping that if we're able to get that passed in the next QAP, we'll start to see more ready projects. At least at that point, the 201H, any changes would have been vetted out before they came in with their budget. So we're really hoping that if we can get that passed the next round, we'll actually see things a little bit faster moving to closing, and also any kind of adjustments that would have had to increase the budget would be taken care of front before they come in.
Thank you. And just one last question. Is there a breakdown of why the change in the acquisition cost?
And the developer can correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought when I asked him about it, it was the timing, because we had originally had this approved in 2019, the delay in the closing. I thought that's why the cost had gone up a little bit. The seller did require some fees. Is that right?
Yes, it's cost of carry. Yeah, cost of carry on the contract.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Director Sparlin, I just want to provide a little bit more context. This project was taken over. It started out, and then High Ridge Costa had to take it over to help it out. So there was a bunch of things they had to work on. The space, the limited spacing for some of these projects downtown and other projects in tight corners, I think adds to the cost because they don't have a lot of space to move things in and out. So they have to make other arrangements. There's tight spaces sometimes we notice with some of these downtown projects that add to the cost. So I think those are a number of factors that affected this. And of course, 201H, any changes brought about by the 201H adds to the cost as well. So good questions. Thank you.
Thank you for that added context. Appreciate it. Appreciate all the hard work getting this moving for our seniors as well.
All right. Any other questions? If not, all in favor?
Hey.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye. No, I'm in favor.
Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you. All right, moving on to item 3E. Excuse me. This is to approve an extension to resolution number 125, which provides for the official intent with respect to the issuance of Hulu May multifamily tax exempt revenue bonds for the Kokua project located in Honolulu, Oahu, TMK 121 010 052 and 053 portion of. Can I get a motion, please?
Motion.
Thanks, Mel.
Second.
Thanks, Gary.
Subject for action requests a 12-month extension to July 31st, 2022 to issue bonds for the Kukua project. This is the third extension for the project, and the project is currently on bond calls and anticipates a closing in the next few months. Although the awardee anticipates closing the bond soon, we just want to, as abundance of caution, since we're coming to the board for the increase, we wanted to bring the extension in at the same time. This is the same project that was in the previous 4 actions, so I'm going to skip all the details. When we do an extension request, requests for extensions are evaluated on 3 basic milestones: site control, zoning approvals, and securing financing commitments. The site control, the awardee has site control. It was purchased in March 2020. Zoning approvals, the project continues to make progress. On January 29th, the Honolulu City Council approved the 201H zoning exemption for the project. HHFDC determined that the project was exempt from the state environmental assessment requirements. The exemption list was published on October 8, 2019 of the environmental notice. On November 5th, 2020, the project received final approval from the Disability and Community Access Board, or DCAB, and the awardee continues to work on obtaining the approval of the building permits. For financing commitments, the awardee is continuing to work with Citibank on the sale of the tax-exempt bonds and with RBC on the syndication of the federal and state loan composing tax credits. The recommendation can be found on page 5 of the 4 action. Staff supports the request for an extension based on the progress made. Staff is available for questions as well as the development team.
Thank you. Is there any questions? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to item 3F. This is to approve an extension to the Rental Housing Revolving Fund Letter of Intent for the Kukua project located in Oahu, Honolulu, Oahu, TMK 121-010, 052, and 053 portion of. Can I get a motion?
So move.
Thank you.
Second.
Thanks, Mel.
The subject for action requests a 12-month extension to July 31st, 2022 for the Rental Housing Revolving Fund Letter of Intent for the Kukua project. This is the 3rd extension for the project. This is the same project as the previous 4 actions, so I'll skip the details. The recommendation can be found on page 5 of the 4 action. Staff supports the request for an extension based on the progress made. Staff is available for questions as well as the development team.
Thank you. Any questions? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you. Moving on to item 3G. This is to approve resolution number 155, authorizing the issuance of Hula May multifamily taxes and revenue bonds for the Halewaiolu Senior Residence Project located in Honolulu, Oahu, TMK 117006012.
Hello, members of the board, chair, vice chair.
Hang on. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Sorry,
Mel, can I get a second?
I'm excited.
Thanks.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
Chair, vice chair, distinguished members of the board, I'd like to welcome Sean Sasaki for convening and taking the time. This is a subject for action in which we're requesting authorization to issue Hula May multifamily bonds through resolution number 155 for the Halewaiolu Senior Residence Project. The project will be a newly constructed 156 unit rental facility reserved for seniors earning at or below 30% of the area median gross income up to 80%. Improvements consist of a 17-story residential tower, 13 floors of which will be apartments, and 4 of the lower floors will include the lobby, community room, a recreation deck, some commercial space, as well as 2 floors of parking. Construction will consist of primarily post-tension concrete slab, steel frame with concrete exterior walls, beams, and foundations. By way of background, on February 14th, 2019, the HHFDC Board of Directors did approve an intended issuance of the Hula May multifamily tax exempt bonds of approximately $43.5 million. In addition, approximately $2.94 million in annual federal and state low-income housing 4% non-volume cap credits, and $41.1 million in rental housing revolving fund. Subsequently, on August 13th of 2020, the Board of Directors approved an increase in the Hula May multifamily bond issuance up to $48 million, as well as an increase in the award of federal and state low-income housing tax credits up to $3.05 million. Given the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2021 on March 11th, 2021, the board did approve an increase in the federal and state low-income housing tax credit up to approximately $4.03 million for the project. The project is using a structure with $48 million Hula May multifamily bonds. This will be a private placement with First Line Bank, as well as American Savings Bank. They are going to participate in the construction financing. Walker and Dunlop will provide the permanent financing via Freddie Mac TEL, which is a tax-exempt loan, their program. The project does expect the bond issuance to fund over 50% of its anticipated basis, which allows for maximization of the 4% low-income housing tax credit. The proposed financing structure and project budget can be found on page 4 of your 4 action, along with Exhibit C, which is a comparison table depicting the project budget and any changes to financing. As part of the bond issuance process, we are required to conduct a Tax Equity and Fiscal Responsibility Act hearing. The first hearing was conducted on the 17th of April, 2019. We did have there were 6 oral testimonies, all in support of bond issuance for multifamily affordable housing. The second hearing was conducted on November 5th of 2020. No testimony was received. Again, documentation and the requisite due diligence, they're essentially complete. We're excited to see this project close and to begin and break ground, begin construction. Staff therefore does recommend adoption of resolution number 155, authorizing the issuance, sale, and delivery of the Hula May multifamily bonds to support construction of Halewalu senior residences. We're available, staff is available for questions, along with members of the development team, the Michaels Group, Ms. Karen Sedan, Mr. Benjamin Edger, Mr. Quester Lau, as well as counsel from Settlemeyer, Natalie Mesa, and Charles Fossey.
All right, thank you. Any questions from the board?
Chair, if I could just acknowledge, I want to thank Chris Oakes. This is one of his first or second presentations, and he's the new addition to the finance branch team. And I just want to recognize what a great job he's done in taking over this. And then also wish Michaels, I know this has been a long journey to get to this point, but we're very, very happy for you. Thank you, Chair.
Right, thank you. Yes, great presentation. Thank you. Welcome aboard. I didn't hear any questions. So I guess all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you.
Follow.
All right, thanks.
Right.
All right, so going to 3H. This is to update on the preparation of a master plan and environmental impact statement for infrastructure improvements in the Ivile Kapalama neighborhoods and development of the Liliha Civic Center, TMK number 15007-001 various.
Good morning, Chair and board members. My name is Amy Mutart, and this is Sari Burhanu. We're Development Branch staff. This is an update on the two projects, the Ivile Infrastructure Master Plan and Liliha Civic Center Master Plan projects. Both are located in the Ivile neighborhood. The Liliha Civic Center parcel is approximately 3.79 acres and is owned by the state of Hawaii. And the Ivile Infrastructure Master Plan area is approximately 555 acres. And its designated land use is urban, and zoning is predominantly industrial, commercial mixed use. The Ivile Infrastructure Master Plan project area, also referred to as the project study area, falls within two neighborhood transit-oriented development plan areas, the Kalihi and downtown. The state owns many parcels within and surrounding the project study area, including public housing projects owned by Hawaii Public Housing Authority and HHFDC. Other large landowners in the project study area include City and County of Honolulu, Kamehameha Schools, and Castle and Cook. The Civic Center property was set aside to the Department of Accounting and General Services by executive order in October 2005 for Civic Center purposes. To optimize development of the Civic Center property with a mixed-use project, HHFDC and DAGS entered into an MOU in February of 2018. Due to a lack of full funding for the Civic Center, the MOU lapsed in 2019, and HHFDC and DAGS entered into a substantially similar MOU in March 2020. In November of 2019, the HHFDC Board of Directors approved a for action authorizing a budget of up to $5 million from the Dwelling Unit Revolving Fund to prepare a master plan, environmental impact statement for infrastructure improvements and development of various state-owned properties near the Ivile Transit Station, and two, authorize the Executive Director to enter into MOU or agreement with stakeholders. In April of 2020, HHFDC and the City and County of Honolulu entered into an intergovernmental agreement for master planning and cost sharing of infrastructure improvements in the Ivile area. In May of 2020, HHFDC and the HPHA entered into MOU to coordinate master planning of infrastructure improvements for HPA-owned parcels within the Ivile area. In July 2020, HHFDC entered into a contract with PBR Hawaii and Associates Incorporated for the preparation of an infrastructure master plan, related studies, and a master plan for the Liliha Civic Center for mixed-use development and an environmental impact statement. The Liliha Civic Center site has two existing buildings that are on the Hawaii Register of Historic Places and has been recommended for nomination to the National Register of Historic Places. We are working with SHPD, the State Historic Preservation Division, to determine parameters for redevelopment around these historic structures. In October of 2020, PBR Hawaii held the first department agency kickoff meeting for the projects. And some of the state and city agencies that attended include Office of Planning, HPHA, HART, Department of Land and Natural Resources, State Department of Transportation, Department of Planning and Permitting, Department of Land Management, Office of Housing, Office of Climate Change, Sustainability and Resiliency. Other stakeholders included Hawaiian Telecom and EAH Housing. In October 2020, PBR Hawaii held the first community meeting for the Civic Center property. In December 2020, PBR Hawaii and HHFDC held a virtual charrette with key state and city departments where preliminary design schemes for the Civic Center property were discussed. In February 2021, staff and PBR Hawaii briefed Councilmember Radiant Cordero on the planning efforts for both projects. The council member requested to be updated on decisions made regarding infrastructure. In March 2021, PBR Hawaii initiated outreach to major landowners within the project study area to obtain updated plans on existing and future development projects. This development data will be used to analyze current and future infrastructure needs in this regional infrastructure planning effort. On May 12, 2021, HHFDC and PBR Hawaii held the second virtual community meeting for the project. Are there any questions?
Is there any questions? No?
We also have a high-level PowerPoint presentation that we can go through it now.
Okay.
Chair, I have a question,
Yeah, sure.
actually. In the PBR report, it mentions under residential, the range of 400 to 600 rental or for sale leasehold units on this parcel or on this land. And it talks about targeting households that are not well served by the existing low-income housing tax credit and other federal programs. So is the idea, if I understand this, is the idea to try to go up to higher income groups to serve those groups with housing on this site?
I believe our approach is to target the 140% AMI and below.
Okay. Well, I'm asking that question because I'm glad to hear the answer, because I think it's really important to look at trying to address that spectrum of households with future housing. So thank you.
Can everybody see this?
Nope, not yet.
No? Did you share it? Oh, shoot. Let me try. Got it. Skip. Oh, sorry.
Okay, Asa, can you allow us to share a screen, please?
Yeah, you're able to. You can go ahead.
It says,
I'll try again, but it says that host disabled participant from sharing.
So while we're waiting to fix that technical,
We're able to.
There we go.
Sorry, Denise.
Sorry, Asa. Okay.
Can everyone see it now?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so this is again an overview of the Liliha Civic Center Master Plan and the Eagle Lake Infrastructure Master Plan projects. And as mentioned, PBR Hawaii Associates was contracted to prepare a development program and master plan for the Liliha Civic Center site, an infrastructure master plan for the Eagle Lake area, and an environmental impact statement to support the planning efforts. And as we mentioned, those state and city agency agreements that laid the groundwork for this project. The DAG's MOU is to optimize development of the Civic Center parcel for a mixed-use project, including affordable housing and civic uses. And the city agreement is to collaborate with planning and construction of infrastructure improvements to support development in the Eagle Lake neighborhood. And our agreement with Hawaii Public Housing Authority is to coordinate master planning of infrastructure for HPA-owned parcels within the Eagle area. This is the project study area, which is bounded by Waikimila Road, Halona Street, H1 Freeway down to River Street and Nimitz Highway. And this is the Lilia Civic Center parcel site here. The rail station, Eagle Rail Station, Kavalana Rail Station.
So I'll try to go quickly through the Lilia Civic Center master plan presentation. So like Amy was saying, this is the site, so it's bounded by Ivalay Road, King Street, and Ka'ai Street. The purpose of the project is mainly to provide affordable housing as well as space, office space for state programs. This is a joint effort between us and DAGS. It's the reason why we needed to provide the office space for the various state programs. And the other purpose is to support the Avila community by creating a livable environment where people can work and play as well. And we're trying to follow a transit-oriented development principles as it's very close to the rail station. So we had our first community meeting on October 28, 2020. This was just our first kickoff meeting. So basically we just presented the project and provided basic information of both the Avila infrastructure master plan and the Lilia Civic Center site. And then on December 15, 2020, we had a smaller group. We had a meeting with various state and city departments. On this meeting, we discussed more of the site design and plans and the various rules that each agencies have that might affect our design for the project. And yesterday on May 12, 2021, we had our second community meeting where we basically introduced the site plan that came from the discussion that we had with the various state agencies. And the next milestone is the environmental impact statement. So the site, again, is bounded by King Street, Ivalay Road, and Ka'ai Street, and it houses the ORL building, which is a historical building, and the office and document storage building, which we refer to as the annex building, which is also historical. And there's the rail line. Both of these buildings are on the Hawaii State Register of Historic Places, and they're nominated for the National Historic Places. There's some constraints on the site, mainly being the easements. The largest one is easement U, which is where the rail, the pillar for the rail would go, and there's also easement P, which is a storm drain, which we're planning we have to relocate to make the site a lot more useful for us. We're working with HART and the city to figure out what we can do with the easement U, which most likely we're going to have some complete street designs. In addition, the site is within the tsunami evacuation zone, and there's also some flooding issues, and it's about less than 3 miles from the airport, which means we have some height restrictions. The site has its own strength, has many transportation options, even without the rail. And the rail is about a quarter mile from the Ivalay rail station. It's very walkable, and it's also walking distance from the downtown employment area. And it's easy. It will have easy access from existing bike lanes as well as future ones. Okay, so what we're proposing currently is about 219,000 square feet of gross building area and about 400 to 600 units of residential units that either could be rental, or we'll also entertain the idea of for sale leaseholds, and about 11,500 square feet of commercial space and other uses. And we'll also have structure parking, which would serve both the offices, residential and commercial spaces, as well as open space. Okay, the design elements that we took into consideration are the massing density, access and circulation, open space, security, and parking. So massing, we meant like the density. So we explored how dense the site could be. So these are the various density levels that we lived through, from single family residential to high density. And obviously, we chose the high density mixed use residential. Our building is about 26 stories right now. The planned building, we're planning it to be about 26 stories, about 150 to 360 density unit per acre. So these are the various site access that we discussed. So whether we can have a single access point, which is or one way in or one way out, or multiple access points. Each of these have their own strengths and weaknesses. The single access points makes it easy to manage. We can see who's coming in and out, but there's a higher potential for congestion, and also very easy to have a single front door. The one way in, one way out, kind of easy to see who goes in and out, but there's some potential for congestion, and it's also easy to establish a front door. The multiple access points is a bit hard to manage, but it creates less congestion and also gives an opportunity to have multiple front doors on the site. The other design element that we retained is the site circulation. So whether we should have a single focal point, we can have various ones with the grid or the axis where basically the important spots or focal points are where the two parallel paths intersect. The other design element we looked into is the open space. So we discussed whether we wanted to have a landscape space, hardscape, or include art or furniture. Security is one of the main concerns. So there's various ways where we can address security, having cameras, or we can also do a defensive architecture. Basically, what it means is having, eyes on the street and making it active, and having other design strategies. We also considered various types of parking, whether we wanted to have a standalone garage, which just takes a bit space of the site. The wrapped garage, which is nice because from pedestrians can't really see that parking. It'll be wrapped with commercial and residential uses. The mechanical parking, which takes less space but a little bit more expensive. We'll also discuss whether we wanted to have a sloped floor versus flat floors. If we have flat floors, it makes it easy to convert to units later on. And whether we wanted to have internal ramps or versus external ramps. Again, this is helpful for us if we wanted later on to convert it to units. For parking requirements, we can follow the current land use ordinance, which requires a lot more parking, or ordinance 20-41, which requires less parking than the LDO, but more than the TOD zoning, or we can just go with the 2 on each parking exemptions. At our first committee meeting in October, we had we took a poll, and basically people's comments are there's a need for housing. There's a strong desire to keep both of the historic buildings. They're concerned about security in the surrounding land uses. They also have some concern about how we inform the public. The other strength they pointed out was access to transit and its central location. They also would like to see housing improvements in outdoor spaces, but there was low interest to buy leasehold. There was a strong desire for studio and 1-bedrooms. They also had interest in, they wanted to have parking for residents as well as office workers, but they were open to the idea of shared parking stalls. We asked them what's their main mode of transportation currently. They said they mostly travel by car, but they may be giving up the car as transit. There's better transit. Okay, so based on all that discussion, this is the site plan, the current proposed site plan. Sorry. Yeah, so so all the ground floor is gonna be commercial. This is gonna be the office space. And on the second floor, both of these, second and third floor is gonna be office spaces. And over that, we're gonna have the residential spaces. Again, like I noted earlier, the site is, you know, is tsunami evacuation zone that tends to flood. So we have to take into account.
Everybody still has connection. I'm hearing a number of members can't see the screen anymore because of internet connections.
Oh.
Are all the directors able to still see the screen?
Yes.
Yeah, I can.
Yes.
Yes.
Director Sparlin, how are you? Did we lose her? Okay, I think we lost Director Sparlin.
I think ESSA has also included copies of this presentation, I believe.
Okay,
Printed out.
that'd be good.
Yeah.
Okay, why don't we try to summarize?
Okay, so basically, this is the last part of this, yeah. This is the proposed site plan, and then the buildings are gonna be raised. So the first floor is, you know, 8.5 feet right here, and then about 4.4 feet with the historic buildings are. Then I'll give it to Amy.
So on the infrastructure master plan, as we mentioned, PBR has been contracted to evaluate existing infrastructure conditions in the study area to determine the need for improvements and expansion capacity. They'll be incorporating information from city, non-governmental entities of their current and planned development projects to come up with their infrastructure assessment. And they'll also prepare the environmental impact statement to support the planning efforts. Again, this is the map of the study area with the Liliha Civic Center site here. And this is the study area showing the city's 2 neighborhood TOD plan areas, the Kalihi and downtown neighborhood TOD plans. And of course, major infrastructure improvements would be required to support higher density of mixed use development. The current zoning in the study area is predominantly commercial mixed use. That's this purple area. And under the TOD plan, it would reduce industrial zoned areas and increase medium and high density mixed uses. So medium and high density mixed uses are the red and the lighter red areas. Engineering assessments that PBR will be preparing include sewers, storm drain, water, electrical, telephone and communication, solid waste, cable TV, traffic, roadways, and street systems. The project status is in March, they started to obtain updated development plans from the state and city, private landowners, and they'll be using this data to analyze current and future infrastructure needs in the study area. The consultant team will also be starting consultations with state and city agencies to confirm their assumptions for infrastructure analysis. And once the planning efforts on the Civic Center and the infrastructure master plan wrap up, they'll start on the environmental impact statement. So this is where the project schedule is currently. We're doing the Liliha Civic Center master plan, and it's targeted to actually wrap up sometime in August. And the infrastructure master plan should be completed by April next year, and commencement of the EIS is expected early next year. That's all.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Chair Mendy. Before we go on, could I use this as an opportunity to introduce our newest member to the development branch? Randy Chu joined us from the city. He's the new development section chief. And Dean, would you like to say anything further about Randy? And then let's give Randy a chance to greet the board.
Very happy to welcome Randy to HHFDC. Randy has a wealth of experience. He worked at the City Department of Land Management, where he served as administrative deputy director, project manager. He also owned his own engineering company, and he worked here many years ago. He has a wealth of experience, and we're happy to have him.
Awesome. Welcome aboard.
Morning, board chair and members. I'm very happy to be here at HFDC, and I'm looking forward to helping HFDC achieve its goals in helping various communities in the state with affordable housing. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Welcome aboard.
Welcome.
Okay. Thank you for that. I guess moving on, item 4, we're going to move into executive session. So there's a couple of items that we need to cover. 4A, which is information on and discussion of delinquent loans in the Kahana Valley Loan Program on Oahu and the Miloli'i Ho'opuloa Loan Program on the Big Island. And also information and discussion of the Hawaii Housing Finance and Development Corporation, State of Hawaii versus Waipahu Community Adult Day Health Center and Youth Day Care Center, civil number 191090906. And so this is
Morning, Chair and directors, like Francis Kino here. We were informed and advised by the Attorney General's office that a portion of my presentation to the board should be made in open meeting. So that's what I'm planning to do. And then as we get further on, I'll ask the board to go into executive session where you can ask the Attorney General's office any questions or have any concerns and get advice from the Attorney General on this matter in confidence to preserve the attorney-client confidentiality. So advice was to present some of the background in open meeting. So if you don't mind, that's what I'd like to do.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. Morning again, Chair Lindy and directors. This is a presentation for your information regarding our delinquent loan situation or seriously delinquent loans arising from our Kahana Valley Loan Program on Oahu, as well as from our Miloli'i Ho'opuloa Loan Program on the Big Island. And so, this involves seriously delinquent loans. And if we are not able to resolve this, we may come back to the board later to get guidance and approval as to what course of action the agency should take. But for now, we just want to apprise the directors of the status of the situation. So if I may, beginning with Kahana Valley, in 1987, the Department of Land and Natural Resources were authorized to issue 65-year leases to the residents at Kahana Valley. And the following year, 1988, funds were given to us to make construction loans so the residents could build homes there, and upon completion, the loans would be converted to mortgages. Similar situation occurred in Miloli'i on the Big Island, so that in 1982, Department of Land and Natural Resources were authorized to enter into 65-year leases with the residents there. And in the successive 8 years within 1990, funds were given to us so we could similarly provide construction loans, and so they could build homes, convert them to mortgages at the time after completion. So fast forward to today, currently we have 52 loans for both areas combined, 52 loans. And most of those loans are being serviced by the banks, First Hawaiian Bank and Bank of Hawaii. And most of those loans are being, the payment is being made regularly. And so if there's any delinquency, it's usually only temporary. So they may miss a payment, but catch up the following month or shortly thereafter.
So most of these loans are current, but there have been like 12 loans that we consider seriously delinquent, and the payments have not been made for a number of years. So much so that the banks have returned the servicing to HHFDC. And we think this was done in like 2015, because in the files, there's notes of staff kind of working on collection efforts. So 2015 to 2018, we see notes in the files, but frankly, the documentation is kind of spotty, and the efforts are not really clear as to what happened. We see like entries on charts or drafts of letters, but no final letter signed. And so the efforts are kind of not well documented. And then in last year, in June of 2020, we internally determined that there's like these 12 seriously delinquent accounts were doubtful accounts. And that's what we're trying to focus on, these 12 seriously delinquent accounts. 9 are from Kahana Valley and 3 are with Miloli'i. And so as we determined them to be doubtful accounts, there was an entry that collection efforts would still be made by the finance branch. But in looking at the records, there did not seem to be a real serious collection effort until March of this year, 2021. And that's when we hired Nate Akamu, who's our recent finance specialist. And so in turning over the presentation to him, I think this would be a good time to go into executive session so that the more recent activities and strategies can be more discussed confidentially, and preserving the attorney-client confidential communications. So I'd ask the board if we can go into executive session so Mr. Akamu can continue with the presentation, and we'll have counsel also present.
All right. So can I get a motion to enter the executive session?
Mr. Chair, I move that we go into executive sessions. Mike.
Okay, Mike, thanks. You get a second?
Second, done.
Thanks, Mel. All in favor?
Aye.
We are in executive session.
Give us a chance to
Yep.
move us.
What's the pleasure of the chair during the executive session, that we can ask some questions, or is there a presentation?
Oh, wait, hold on.
All right. So we are back in open session. Thank you, everybody. Just want to report that on item 4A regarding the information discussion of the delinquent loans in Kahana Valley and Miloli'i, staff will be reporting on that at a later date. So just wanted to let everybody know. So moving on to item 4B, this one is information and discussion of the Hawaii Housing Finance and Development Corporation State of Hawaii versus Waipahu Community Adult Day Healthcare Center and Youth Day Care Center, civil number 191090906. So this one, we are going to go directly into executive session. Can I get a motion, please?
Motion.
Thanks, Mel.
Second.
Thanks, Mike.
This is
All in
Hey,
favor?
Mike.
Aye.
Aye.
We are going back into executive session.
Okay, hold on while I transfer.
Alrighty.
Don, can we have a 5-minute break?
Oh yeah, sure.
Huh?
Is that enough? 5 minutes?
Maybe.
Okay. Okay, let's take a break.
We're back in regular session.
All right, thank you, everybody. So I won't be reporting anything on this last one because this is a active legal issue. So it'll be available once everything is settled. Okay, so item 5, moving on. Executive overview by the executive director.
Thank you very much, Chair, members of the board. I wanted to begin my section of this by wishing Essa a very happy birthday. It's Essa's birthday today, so I know you all join me in wishing her this is her Xth anniversary of her 25th birthday. So happy birthday, Essa.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
I also want to congratulate Chair Mindy and Director Sasaki on their Senate confirmation, 25 ayes. Thank you very much for serving and congratulations. Just a couple things to report on section F. We did have an internal reorganization of the corporation that I wanted to share. This report is being provided to you just for your information only. And it's basically something we started last year and took formal steps to restructure the organization, basically to improve functionality within each unit. The restructure was first prompted by the transfer of a position from one unit, that's the finance branch, to another unit in the development branch. It was done to address the growing demands on development and make better use of a senior level position that was vacant in finance for about 13 years. The position was promptly filled. It's filled by Amy Mutart, who we heard from earlier. She has done an excellent job in handling the office renovations and is fulfilling a key role in infrastructure planning for Ivole Kapalama. And the renovation, I just want to say, is beautiful. So I'm hopeful that one day we can all convene together physically and you can see it. Thanks to the masterful negotiation skills of Chris Woodard, it was incorporated in the cell. So thanks, Chris. The restructure mainly affected the finance branch. As I mentioned earlier, there were a lot of vacancies, and given the hiring freeze we were in, we made a determination to consolidate the separate units and make things a lot more functional. So that's basically what it is. The organization chart is attached. Francis is here. He spearheaded that, and he's here to answer any specific questions if you have any.
Do you mind if I quickly go through the changes?
Quick, no need specifics, quickly.
Any questions?
It's been a long day for them. Okay. Beyond that, if there's no questions, I wanted to jump to the legislative update because that part is key. Going over our budget, operating budget, we did have a reduction. I think all state agencies went through this. We lost 7 positions. So we had a total of 70. We lost 7. But I count ourselves very fortunate because most of them were vacant. They were office assistant positions, and the vacancies that we did lose, but we needed the salary ceiling, they left the salary ceiling in and just swept the position. So we were very fortunate, but we do have to show that we are going to make the best use of all the positions and fill the vacancies that we committed to fill. So I feel very strongly about that. Nathan Akamu is one of those additions. So is Chris Oakes. So, and I think in planning, we will have 2 additions as well. I think these additions to staff is very important for the work that we do.
Randy Chu, who you also met, is a new hire.
We had some capital improvement CIP money infusions, the 20 million for DERF, 25 million for rental housing revolving fund. They're both on the second half of the biennium. And then a large infusion of 40 million, but that is going to be specifically for the Public Housing Authority's project on School Street. For the bills, this session, it was a very busy session. I don't have my list offhand. Let me see. We did have, okay, you're going to appreciate this one. This one is our checkerboard bill, or the bill that has all our remnant parcels for the sale of fee interest. It will help these 81 remaining families finally cross the finish line to home ownership. Right now, we have to go through that long process of getting legislative approval. So it's going to bypass that, and we can go ahead and transfer these homes to those that want to purchase their fee. That was under House Bill 77. House Bill 79 was passed out of the legislature. It creates a new affordable housing revolving fund. This was a great initiative by the House Housing Chair. It'll help rural communities and spur home ownership for those families that are willing to put in the sweat equity. We also have House Bill 1311 that removes the construction deadline on the Keawe Street apartments, known as Kaya Ulu Kukuya. This was critical because we would have lost that 37 million in rental housing revolving funds. So that construction deadline was removed. Key bills that died was our public lands bill. We tried very hard. This would have shaved off 6 to 9 months of the development process. It failed. There was strong opposition by OHA and Native Hawaiian groups, but I can totally appreciate why. We just have to keep working at it and work with them better. Senate Bill 39 was another attempt to expand the GT exemption and help that group in the rental workforce category. So 80% AMI to 120% AMI, I believe. And that bill also failed. So, you know, several wins and some things we have to just keep plugging away at. But that was our legislative session. It was a lot more than that. But that's the highlights. I'm happy to answer any questions. I know it's been a long day for this board. We really appreciate your continued support. I just want to assure you the corporation here, the staff has been working very hard to live up to its mission of preserving and increasing the supply of affordable housing. Happy to answer any questions.
Denise, I hate to be the one to try to extend the meeting by a few minutes, but you had wanted to provide an update on our review of project lease extensions and terms and conditions.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chris.
Oh, I'm providing it real quick. So I think it was March that we talked about this, where we have multifamily rental projects on ground leases with HHFDC on what terms and conditions should we be willing to extend those ground leases. Historically, they've been done at $1 a year, nominal rent. So we've been working with fiscal management branch, Holly, Melissa's on, I see, to get a better understanding about what HHFDC's actual costs are to manage these project leases. And then separately, we have 2 board subcommittees that are looking at similar issues. One is the Waiholei Valley subcommittee, the other is the leasehold policy subcommittee. And again, fiscal management branch, Holly and her team have been working to get a good handle on what the costs are for staff time and overhead to manage to manage those leases and provide related property management services in Waiholei Valley. So I think for the rental project leases, we'll probably be coming back to you in July with some recommendations. We're just still working on firming up those cost recovery numbers.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks for the reminder. That wraps it up for the ED report. Thank you for your time and your
Wait, Denise,
support.
Denise, I have a question. And this is regarding the 2021 consolidated application. Do you think we will, what is the projection for seeing a for action for the staff recommendations?
So we hope to bring the 9% to before the board and make some recommendations next month.
Okay.
And the plan is to take the 4% the following month.
Okay.
That's the plan. So,
thank you.
Thanks for the question.
So
Anything else?
Yeah, Denise, aren't we supposed to like redo some of these subcommittees?
Oh, that's right. Okay, we do, for the housekeeping matter, we do have several subcommittees that need to be disbanded and reconstituted. The first one is the Waihole Valley Strategic Plan Committee. The purpose was to investigate key issues identified in the March 2019 draft plan to ensure priority items are addressed in community infrastructure, leases, and ag production. So the members are Mike McCartney, Don Mendy, Gary Mackler, and Kim Sparlin. Any comments?
Do we need action?
I'm not sure. Is Sandy on?
Chair, the formation of the subcommittees are at your discretion, so you should be formally appointing the members. So is that in accordance with your wishes?
Okay, yes. So, okay.
Great choices, Don.
They are appointed.
Thank you. The next subcommittee was the staffing subcommittee. The recommendation is to be disbanded indefinitely. My understanding is this subcommittee never met, so it may not be necessary, but I put that before you, Chair Mendy.
That's fine. It's disbanded.
Okay, moving on to the next committee was the Leasehold Policy Subcommittee, which needs to be disbanded and reconstituted. And the whole purpose of this was to reevaluate the leasehold policy. And on the members, we have Don Mendy, Chung Chang, Kimberly Sparlin, and Gary Mackler or Carol Raymond. But I think the recommendation is to have our new director participate in this. So it would be Don Mendy, Sean Sasaki. It's a good introduction into HHFDC. Kim Sparlin, I don't know about your time though, Kim, because you're already serving on Waihole, so want to hear from you on that.
Yeah, time is a little sensitive, but I think it's important enough. And if the QAP is wrapping up soon, that'll give a little bit of time back.
Okay, and then one more member from the board. So Kim, you sure you can make time? Okay. And then one more volunteer.
Gary?
Sure. Yes, I'll volunteer.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, Denise. I'm a little confused. Who are the members on the leasehold policy? So I have Dawn. You're replacing Chung, is that who?
With Sean Sasaki.
With Sean, okay. And then, okay, got it. Then Gary. So it's gonna be Dawn, Sean, Kim, and Gary.
Correct.
Okay.
Hey Denise, I'm sorry. This committee is going to kind of wrap up the one more meeting next week, and then I think the intent was to go to the board the following month. So Chung and Kim, Don, it would be good to keep that core and then just add one more person to replace George Atta.
Okay.
So regarding this leasehold policy subcommittee, the subject matter that Chris just brought up, so that's not going to be considered in this subcommittee?
I don't think so. Is Chris on?
Yeah, sorry, what was the question?
So Chris, you know, because you're going to be reevaluating the leasehold policies, would that not have to come before this subcommittee as well, the leasehold policy subcommittee?
I believe the leasehold policy subcommittee mandate is to solely look at single family leasehold. So I think you need to expand the purpose of the subcommittee, which I don't have a problem with the rental with the project leases, that discussion and recommendations falling under the purview of the leasehold policy subcommittee. They'll just be looking at two different types of leases.
Wait. May I speak? So we can't just interchange it. It's just not my rules. It's OIP sunshine law. So what is trying to be accomplished? Can one subcommittee finish off what they're doing and then we just form a second subcommittee today with direction as to what they're investigating and findings and and then they will ultimately bring recommendations. I'm not sure that the statute allows us to add other tasks to a subcommittee that was formed a while back. I'm pretty certain it's not. I would need to research that, but I'm pretty certain in my knowledge of the law that we start adding purview to a subcommittee previously formed.
No.
My only comment is, so I don't think we previously discussed forming a subcommittee for the project leases. We're talking about a portfolio of maybe 30 leases, whereas the leasehold policy subcommittee is making recommendations regarding a portfolio of literally hundreds and hundreds of leases. So I'll
Okay, so let me take that back then. So for the leasehold policy subcommittee, we need to disband it and reconstitute it.
Yeah.
For a limited time, I guess, to finish up its business. Is that correct? Okay, so who are the members? I have Dawn.
Yeah, the current members are Dawn, Kim, Chung, and then George is off now, so we need to replace George.
Okay, so should we ask our new director, Sean? Welcome, initiation.
Yeah, we could do that.
Is he on?
Yeah.
I am.
Hi, Sean. Would you be willing
Hello.
to serve on this subcommittee?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, last but not least, the finance branch is considering making changes to its LIHTC, Hulame multifamily bond and rental housing revolving fund program rules to amend its fee schedule to bring it more in line with what is being charged by other state housing finance agencies across the nation. Changes and restructuring of the fees, including the fee for filing a consolidated application, may be necessary to keep pace with the marketplace, and more importantly, to cover the expenses to administer the program, as well as retain and attract qualified and a skilled workforce for the finance branch unit. So I would like to request permission to form a subcommittee or a permitted interaction group to review and give recommendations to the board. This subcommittee would be called the Finance Branch Program Rules Committee. And the members would be as follows: Don Mendy, Gary Mackler, Carol Ryman, and Sean Sasaki. chair.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you. And thank you for the reminder. Yes, this was important housekeeping. Anything else? Essa, did we miss anything else?
I believe that's it.
Okay, with that, I just want to say thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. This was a long meeting. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Thank you, Mel. Second.
Second.
Thanks, Kim. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.